All right, so welcome to the Awakened Visionary Leader Master Class. I'm Crystal Davis, leader of the Conscious Coaches Group on Alignable. Whether you're watching this actually on Alignable or in some other place. This class is something I'm going to do every month around the middle of each month, leading into the shift that we're, the joy of being a visionary leader. It means several things, and what it is that we're going to talk about today is deeply conscious astrology, from conscious astrology to human design to spiritual awakening, to truly being the leader of your business from an awakened awareness of yourself, whatever you're doing. And if you consider yourself a conscious coach, actually there's three types of people that I serve: conscious coaches, light workers, and transformational leaders. So really any of those titles really are very close to each other. And so as that leader in your field, the awakened visionary is someone that, yes, it has a big vision, but has actually done the inner work, the inner transformational work, to take their vision and become it, live it, be it. And so this conversation today for this month is all in preparation for when, on the summer solstice on June 21st, when the sun moves into Cancer. Now, you don't need to know a lot about conscious astrology. You don't need to know a lot about human design, or really, just be interested in the consciousness field to gain understanding and awareness and nuggets of what you really are here to receive. It's all individual, right? It's all about our individual journeys. In fact, I always like to say your purpose is your path is your purpose. And so the reason I have use this particular image today, the joy of being, is that when the sun moves in to Cancer, Cancer is actually ruled by the moon. We are about emotional clarity. If you know the moon is actually the symbol for emotional security, emotional clarity. And so I'll dive deeper into this, but that's why we're having this conversation right now. It's very strategic. It's very intentional as to why we're having this conversation today. And then moving forward, please come back, because each month in the middle of each month, we're always preparing for the next shift of in fact, years ago, I realized that we're like on this conveyor belt, right? This escalator where the universe is constantly moving us through the healing, the transformational, the work, and revealing to us our next step, our next step, our next step. But if we can gain a strategic awareness of what the system is that the universe is using, and then we tune in to where we're at upon our purpose and our path, then we can shift and really truly have the transformational journey that we're truly here to have, right? And that includes not only for our own transformational journey, but tuning in to the clients, the money, and the life that you would truly love, right? There's where the visionary part comes in. So we're really, truly tuning into the awakened visionary path. Okay. All right. So I like to start out with talking about awakening and what it means. And I use this term for awakening. Most of us, or most of humanity, is walking around thinking about, their health, their money. There maybe some are thinking about purpose, but usually it's the things on the exterior, right? What kind of car do I want? What kind of house? How much more money can I make? That sort of thing. So the universe, in its infinite wisdom, has what I call the hidden mirror. And you can know that you're awakening to your higher purpose or to your divine message and to your higher expression when two things. And hopefully you have your if you haven't, don't, it's okay. But there's a participant workbook. So the first question is, what are the 2 reasons, right, that you feel that you're awakening? And these are it. 1, you feel unseen, unheard, and misunderstood. Right? This image of being on the platform or on the stage or in the networking event or doing your marketing to crickets or whatever it is. And maybe there's a few people, but there's not enough, right? And so this image of kind of passing in the night and feeling, again, unseen, unheard, and misunderstood. There's something that you can know, there's something higher, a higher purpose. There's a higher awakening happening. Because that is the hidden mirror. Whatever we see out there is actually guiding us right back to our own awareness. I was having a conversation with a client earlier today, and Dr. Wayne Dyer popped into my head, how he said, you're not what you want. You are, oh, how did he say that? You are what you believe yourself to be, actually, is how he said it. And that really was triggering, because it's like, again, it's not about the car, the money, the house, or whatever we think it is out there. It's actually something inside of ourselves. And that's where that feeling comes in. And the second one is, right, yeah, it makes sense. If you feel unseen, unheard, misunderstood, then number 2, you're not really connecting with the tribe of ideal clients that you're here to connect with. Okay, so that's how you know that you're dealing with a hidden mirror, something that is trying to get your attention. And we're going to talk about why that is, okay, the stages of this. I'm going to keep going deeper as we go through this presentation. So the next layer in, right, the hidden mirror of looking outside of ourselves to other people, to what we want, then becomes, what's going on inside of me? So the second question on your participant workbook is, what's the pain? What's your pain that keeps surfacing as you work to communicate your divine message, or you can work to do your marketing, your networking, and really put yourself out there in the business? The answer is that there is a core wound, right? As you put yourself out there and you experience these challenges, these struggles, these pains, there's a core wound that keeps surfacing as you work to communicate your divine message. And so the image on this page, the reason I have the image of the woman looking in the mirror, in her hidden mirror in this example, she's seeing a father image, her father. And, in my personal example for this one, as I worked, and I've been in business for 13 years, as I worked to bring together my divine message and put myself out there in those networking, and it was so painful, going to one networking event after another, completely feeling kept falling on my face, not being seen, heard, and understood for who I was and what message I was bringing in, the work I could do. And so what kept coming up in my own awareness was a lot of stories and pain points around my father. One of them, never said I love you, was really one of the big ones that just kept coming up. And so what would happen going to networking, and not when I didn't felt seen, it would bring up the story. So on this piece, when you're being triggered, what is the story that's coming up for you? Maybe it could be your father, it could be your mother, it could be something that happened that was traumatic, whatever it is for you, right? This is where this individual journey. And then as we dive deeper, the third piece, next question on your participant workbook, is that the third piece is that in the hidden mirror, when you get to the root, what you'll realize is that your inner child holds the key to your divine message. So if we back up to the 2 previous slides, we would see most people are caught in, I need more money, I need more time, I need this, I need that. Those of us that are on the awakening path can take it a step further and say, oh, there's this pain around a parent or this experience. And then when you get to the deepest part, you're really connecting with a unique aspect within you, an aspect that needs your love and acknowledgement. That's your inner child. And that inner child truly holds the key to your divine message. Okay. Because, and that's actually a big part of my story. I had the vision and I would look around going, well, if I have this vision, then in fact, my mentor at the time told me, well, it's like you have a perfect blueprint, but there's no electricity. So imagine that, a house that has everything done, and you go to turn the lights on, but there's no electricity, right? There's a missing key, and that's your inner child, the part of you that you may not even know is there. You may not have had any relationship with. Okay, it's really powerful to realize that when you get to that place, and you absolutely are awakening, because that's really where the true inner work is done. Okay, but again, there's this bigger divine message you have as this awakened visionary. And I love to put this here, because what's the end road? What does it look like when you are truly standing in your power, being and expressing the real you? It's compassionate, unconditional loving, and unique to you. So you might want to ask yourself that question. And by the way, that's the next question on your participant workbook. You might want to ask yourself this question. When you're when you're doing the things for your business that you need to do, like marketing, networking, working with clients, whatever that is that you're doing to put yourself out there speaking in a bigger way, when something triggers you and you feel the lower energies, the lower emotions, sadness, anger, it's not, that we can know there's a hidden mirror. There's something in there that your inner child's holding on to, the pain of, that needs to be healed and transformed so that you can become more compassionate, more loving, and discovering, as you do this inner child work, discovering what is uniquely brilliant about you. Okay. And I put down here at the bottom, right? Every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent of success. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Okay. Every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent success. And so, again, this is this whole idea of, well, and if we look at ideal client transformation, we all need to know that, right? As conscious business owners, conscious coaches, as someone who is helping someone take a pain point and moving it to what they really want. And the ideal client transformation, that's what that is. Pain to pleasure. What's your unique way of taking them to the other side? And so when Napoleon Hill says every failure, every pain, it brings with it the seed of an equivalent success, talking exactly about what I'm talking about here. Again, that's why your inner child holds the key. Because if your inner child, and it is true, holds a gift, the way it's showing up right now to get your attention is through pain points, is through sadness and anger and being triggered by something in your business. So whatever that is, that's where you want to take note and realize there's something being birthed with and through you. When you have a system that helps you to tune in. So now let's move into the system. So again, I mentioned before at the beginning, that we are every month going to be doing this class, because each month we have the universe takes us into more and into a different energy for additional awareness, healing, transformation, and awareness, right? Good drink. So again, the summer solstice, we're just about a week away, a little less than a week away from the summer solstice on June 21st, when the sun moves into Cancer. That triggers the healing work that we're called to do with being in balance with the balance of, let me say it that way, with the balance of being and doing access. So how do you know if this is being triggered for you? You are the triggering mechanism for this particular axis, and I call these the axis, by the way, the axes of self-mastery. If you're being triggered, you have a need to be busy. Okay. So really look at that for yourself. Do you get distracted and feel like you get overwhelmed? There's so much to do. When you are like, the old adage of running around with a chicken like a chicken with its head cut off, right? And you feel like you're so busy that you don't have time, right? Oh, this is the time issue one, right? Not having time to maybe I don't know what it is for you. Like, make notes about that in your participant workbook. What is that about for you? If this one triggers you, and I actually want to bring the statement up here. I'll be sharing this statement again and at the end, but I want to read it here. Oh, here it is. I find myself, here's the statement. If this resonates, you have the need to be busy. I find myself caught up in being busy for the sake of being busy and getting lost in meaningless actions that make me feel that what I do is not important. Okay. That is the need to be busy, right? That is this unconscious need to, be busy, meaningless actions, and then feeling what I do is not important, right? You can know that what's seeking to be birthed through you is a balance of being and doing. Oh, there it is, right? It's in the title. Most of mine have, this is my PAT transformational system called the Stand Out and Shine Transformational System. These 7 axes of self-mastery is part of how you can stand out and shine. And in each title, I really tell you where to look, right? Because if you want balance, a lot of people talk about balance, but it's kind of work-life balance, and not that there's not a lot of good stuff out there, but what you'll discover with all the 7 axes and with this particular work is really getting to the root, being and doing. So most of us are like this. We're looking at what we can do, right? That's where this need to be busy to do. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Well, that doesn't really work when we need a balance of who am I being as I'm taking action, right? So but the beauty of this, again, in your participant workbook, the answer is that the need to be busy is pointing you to the divine message that you alone can deliver. That's what's super exciting. There's no wrong, right? There's only, okay, what is this hidden mirror? When I get absorbed by people and things and everything I think I have to do, it's not, so much we go into the guilt when it's really, and that's a trigger. That's okay. Again, we can have the guilt. And there's more. There's the gift from the trigger. So it's okay, well, instead of shoving that guilt, shame, self-doubt, whatever it may be, under the rug and saying, don't have time for that, which is usually the trigger, right? I want to go get busy again. That's where it's really this hamster wheel. We just keep doing it over and over again. If we can ground and become more and more aware that the trigger of the guilt, the shame, the whatever that deeper, that lower energy is surrounding this that keeps us on that hamster wheel. If we can ground that there's a gift there, that's our inner child, right? That's holding the key to a gift that you alone can deliver the world, right? And that's why it's so important that we learn how to do this. Because again, here you go. It's an unconscious need that developed early in childhood. That's why it's very difficult for us to work our way through and see this through. But again, if we realize that there is a structure, and that's what I'm giving you today. Yes, it's unconscious. Yes, it's an inner child. Yes, it's been buried inside of you somewhere. There's a pathway to and through that. Okay, that's what this is about today. And each of these going forward, each of these monthly workshops going forward. So, and here's the key. as the parts of you that holds the key to your divine message was never fully accepted into your consciousness. So this is about loving and accepting all of you, okay? Tuned into specific places that you can look to find and love and accept and acknowledge and accept the parts of you, right? The aspects of you, the specific, unique parts of you that have, for maybe, depending how old you are, decades upon decades of feeling not accepted. In fact, the opposite of acceptance is rejection. And so that's why we're being triggered, not because we don't have enough money. We don't have enough money because a part of us doesn't feel loved and accepted. That's huge, right? It's so huge. Here's part of the roadmap. I always like to say that about human design. Again, you don't have to know a lot about human design, but I just want to say that these aspects that hold the key to your divine message and to you being in balance, right? Having this balance of being and doing, they're right there in your human design birth chart. So if you don't have your birth chart, no problem. You can contact me and receive that. Okay. But what I want to share with you here is that when you want to go into the healing of the balance of being and doing access, when you go to human design, you can go specifically to the parts of you that have felt rejected and really begin to see, hear, and understand yourself. There's no accidents here that our parents couldn't do it for us. They didn't have a roadmap. We didn't have a roadmap. We didn't even know that there was parts of ourselves that we weren't acknowledging, much less loving, right? The whole self-love thing is much more granular than we give it credit for, because we have to really tune in to the parts of ourselves that are being triggered. Because the trigger's not going to stop until you can truly connect with and be connected and be aware. That's what I want to say. Connected and be aware of that part and truly what they are. I'll say, here's a great example of that. Now, imagine this afternoon, you're going to walk down the street and you're going to ask the first person that you meet to marry you. Well, most likely, if it's a stranger, they're going to run the other way. And even if it is somebody you've been dating and they're not ready, they could run the other way, right? So this is where conscious awareness and conscious development, right? The inner growth work, the healing and transformational work comes in. And having a roadmap, right? We have to know who we're talking to and know if there's a right fit. And now there's all these aspects within us. Human design holds the key to that, or shows you, demonstrates the roadmap of how do you connect with each part, right? Those parts you didn't know existed that you innocently really rejected because you didn't know any better, are sitting right here. And so as a brief overview, if you look down the side in this chart here, these are astrological symbols moving down the middle. Okay. And so for each of the axes of self-mastery, you simply would go to the astrological symbol that equates to that particular part of your chart. Okay. So I'm going to talk about this a little, go even deeper on this, but for that healing, for the balance of being and doing access, you want to go to your moon gates. And by the way, these are gates right here, right? These numbers are gates. Each of the symbols, astrological symbols, equate to each gate. Okay. So you have two moon gates, and then also Saturn is, so moon, remember, okay, June 21st, you have the sun moving into Cancer, which is ruled by the moon. Okay, so that's why we go to the moon gates. And the other side of this balance of being and doing access, the moon is the being part. The doing part is Saturn. So you want to go down here to find Saturn and look at your gates in Saturn. Okay. Now, again, there's the healing and transformational part, and there's the roadmap part. The job is to connect your trigger to which part of you is saying, you never really loved me, or you're not paying attention to me. There she goes again, right? And so let me give you an example. For me, yeah, okay, so if I look at my moon gate, oh, one of my favorites here, this gate 13 in my conscious moon, the dark numbers are conscious numbers, and the reds are unconscious, okay? So my conscious gate is gate 13, and that gate is the gate of the listener, okay? So yeah, I'm designed to go really, really deep here. Okay, there's no accidents about why I have a complete awakening system, because I'm meant to awaken souls. And if you just spend more time with me, and every time we look at my design, you'll see it. Okay, so the gate of the listener is about, when you think about it, the hidden mirror says, oh, it's listening to other people. It's listening to your clients. It's listening to, the person down the street. It's being mindful of what somebody else is doing, right? Yes. And in order to be more tuned in to other people, that's actually still the hidden mirror, even when we listen to other people. Well, most likely, you're not as, even though you can be there for other people, there's still a problem with that. Why? Because there's an aspect of your inner child, right? The listener. This is actually not about, it's not the first piece to listen to other people. It's actually listening at a deep and profound level to myself. As I healed and transformed that, then I became better at listening to other people, right? Again, going back to this piece here on the slide where it says, the parts of you that holds the key to your divine message was never fully accepted into your consciousness. Okay. This is why it's about you and you. It's about me and me and me. It's about you and you. It cannot be about you and another person. Okay. This is where true awakening happens. Okay. So, but there's a gap there, because these parts of ourselves that have felt unseen, unheard, and misunderstood and rejected, and again, how old are you, and how many decades has it been that you've lived with not knowing these pieces of yourself and not acknowledging them and not loving them, right? They've been buried. And so another analogy I love to use is, if you think about an animal and I had this experience a few years ago with my nephew and his wife. They had gotten a little kitten, and I was like, oh, a kitten, and it was in a cage, and it was a new cat. I'm not even sure what the story was. I don't remember, but I opened the cage. I'm like, oh, I want to. And then as soon as I did, the little one, it was a little cat. I'm not sure how old it was, but it went straight to the corner of the cage. And I was, no, I don't trust you. I don't want you to pet me. Just stay away, right? And I had enough conscious awareness, and this is like 4 or 5 years ago, to just leave my hand and not force the interaction, right? It reminds me of how so much networking, marketing, business development, all of that's unconscious is about, come here. This is what you need to do, all of that. On a conscious level, though, when you have a part of you, the cat's our inner child, right? When there's these parts of ourselves that we've not been able to connect with and didn't know they were there and buried, and they have this deep pain, it's like that cat. It's moving away. It's not coming towards you. It's moving away. Okay. So human design, while it holds these different aspects of you, you can read about it, you can learn about it, but there's a healing and transformational process to getting that part of you to come towards you. Okay. And that's where we have to be patient. That's why the inner child holds the key to your healing and transformation. Because if she or he does not trust you, there's not going to be a connection, no matter how much you think about it, right? That's why the mind can only do so much. This is why it's really, truly an emotional journey that kicks it off, that we heal and transform the trigger, whatever that may be, anger, sadness, and move it through find the gift that the inner child has always been holding and move it into our conscious awareness so that we can be at peace of mind and clarity of purpose. Okay. All right. So I've already said this part. The next part of your participant workbook is when you go to your human design, you want to go for the balance of being and doing access. You want to go to the moon. The moon represents the mother and emotional security. Saturn represents father, limits, time, career, and business. Okay. And again, I've got them listed out here. You can kind of tell that's the moon. If you're not familiar, Saturn down here looks like an H with a line through it. Okay. All right. So the next slide. Okay. So we're going to dive deeper. The moon again. You're going to be finding this is going to be very practical for you over the next, beginning on June 21st, over the month until the sun then moves into the next sign. Cancer ruled by the moon. How do you find your emotional security? And here's a few questions for you. Do you allow yourself to feel emotions, right? Hopefully, not hopefully, I don't want to say it that way. I want to say, if you're here, most likely you're a person that is more comfortable feeling your emotions. Okay? Maybe not all of them, right? Because again, we've got these aspects of the inner child that, there's complexity there because of the complexity of your design, the different parts of your design, right? But the more we're able to allow ourselves to feel sad, to feel angry, right? So you really want to, maybe on a scale from 1 to 10, do you allow? From a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you allowing? And a great conscious coach, by the way, holds the space, keeps the safe, makes a safe environment. And that's why it's so super important that we meet our clients exactly where they are, right? Because they may not, that inner child may be backing like that cat into the corner. For ourselves, the deeper we meet ourselves through this healing and transformational process, right? The deeper we're able to help our clients meet themselves, right? Next question. How do you cope with the more challenging emotions? Like we might be comfortable with feeling sadness, but anger, I'm not supposed to get angry, right? And in fact, I know I dealt with that for a long time. And really navigating the path, navigating the process of that so that we do not hurt ourselves or somebody else. And I definitely know that's so hugely important. So wherever you are, it's exactly where you're supposed to be, right? And allowing ourselves the gentle path to getting more and more connected with ourselves and connected with what we really feel, allowing those challenging emotions, again, just to be. And actually, one of the practices that I teach is learning to be an observer while you feel your emotions. That's actually one of the largest transformational pieces here. Because we don't want to, and that's again where good conscious coach comes in, not getting so caught up in your emotions that they overwhelm you, but allowing enough of the emotion and giving it space so that they begin to release and move with and through your body and out, so that you can truly be the person that you want to be, right? Become the awakened visionary that you're here to be. And the other thing is, are you emotionally defined or undefined open in your human design? Okay, human design, if you're emotionally defined, that's how you make decisions through your emotions. Okay, and if you're emotionally defined, it's really important that you be able to get in touch with your emotions, and again, through the process of healing and transformation, be more clear. It's an all emotional authority is riding a wave. It's allowing ourselves to feel the wave of the emotion so that we can gain emotional clarity and make a decision. Okay. Now, the other thing about human design I just wanted to put here is that depending on your type, it's actually 5 types, but the manifesting generator shares both the manifestor and the generator. So if you just look here and look at where your type is, and if you don't know, that's okay, but I just wanted to share that there's an emotional theme for each type in human design. And so, like, for example, with the manifestor and manifesting generator, and by the way, I'll talk about myself here. I'm actually a manifesting generator. I have the theme of from anger to peace, as well as from frustration to satisfaction. Yeah, that's a lot, actually. And not to say that everybody doesn't have their work to do here, right? Is moving through the bitterness for the projector to success, and moving through the disappointment to surprise for the reflector. Okay. So really, the moon again, we have the feeling of emotion, and we also emotional security is, again, feeling safe, and which is really like the foundation to all of this. When your inner child, you might want to write this down. This isn't in your participant notebook, but you might want to write this down, that although your emotional themes are, you might want to write this down, that I've completely draw a blank because I went to the emotional themes. I apologize about that. Let's see, what was I going to say? I don't know. So I have an open mind, so my things just come in and out. That's a part of my human design. I've learned to just embrace it and love it. So I must not need to share it. Okay. Okay, that's lovely. Okay, I'll listen, and if when I re-listen to this workshop, and I'll put it in the notes or in the comment section below if I realize what it is I wanted to say there. Okay. Oh, I know what it was now. Emotional security. That's what I was talking about. Right? The inner child holds the key. The foundation of all of this is like that cat moving into the corner. What makes the cat come toward me is it feels safe. That's what the moon is about. It helps you to feel safe, to make the healing and transformational journey that you're here to do, right? If you're not feeling safe, the inner child, everything that I'm sharing with you just isn't going to land on fertile ground. It's not going to happen. Okay. Which is one of the things that we often, we always have to keep coming back to as we do our healing work. Okay. So Saturn, how have you transformed your limits into a structure for success? Okay. So the reason I have though I created, this is my system of how I navigate through this entire, I call it a unique brilliance blueprint, or personalized unique brilliance blueprint for each soul, each person that I work with. So the moon, emotional security, is paired with Saturn. That's again about its mother, father, emotional security, structure, limits, time. Okay. So Saturn, and by the way, the astrological symbols, the sun, obviously, very personal to us. The moon's closer to the earth, Mars, Venus. The further you go out, like Saturn's a further out planet, the more transformational it is. Okay. So the reason Saturn is structure, and how you structure your business or structure your work, structure what you do for success, or is the doing part of the balance of being and doing, is again because it's what holds us accountable to our higher purpose. Okay. And so I'm going to look at that. How are you transforming it? And this, I know I was like that. I was like, oh no, I know what I'm going to do. This is exactly what I'm going to do. Well, Saturn, the way it holds us accountable is it's always saying, well, that's great. You have that piece, but there's more. And so that's where we got to go again to the human design gates or Saturn, and compare them and contrast them with the moon to bring it together. That's really, truly, I have a gift of synthesis, and I absolutely love that part. Okay. Oh, and I put this image here because the limits that you think are problems they're really rocket boosters. One of my mentors years ago, Manuel Dogger, said, and I just hold on to it right away. I'm like, oh, this isn't a problem. I'm okay. Of course, it was like, bawling my eyes out, and I'm okay. Is to go, maybe maybe these limits are about, there's a bigger purpose than you can possibly imagining being birthed through you. So, and I said to become a skyscraper. Emmanuel actually said, it's like when the rocket takes off to get to the moon. Without the rocket booster, the rocket's not going to get there, right? So whatever pain or limits that you're experiencing is that rocket booster. There's a gift. Okay. All right. That's the gift of Saturn. And so here's more Moon versus Saturn. Moon, I feel my emotions. I take time for myself and my healing. I listen deeply to my inner child and give what I need to myself. That's when you really, truly feel secure. Stop looking out there, and we ourselves are aligned and listening and really giving ourselves what we need. Think about the power in that, right? We're doing it ourselves. And because we're clear on the inside. I've been saying that for years. Get clear on the inside, transform on the outside. Everything just shifts and changes. Okay, so that's the moon. And then Saturn, I do what feels right for me or right to me. I lead with compassion and unconditional love. And I have structured my business to support and celebrate my unique, and that should be brilliance, my unique brilliance. Okay. And you can see the comparison between the two. Very powerful, because we want, again, this balance of who we're being with what we're doing and aligning them. Okay. All right. So I've talked about this, but here it is on the screen. Cancer season and the axis of self-mastery. Okay. On June 21st until July 22nd, right? Summer solstice to July 22nd. You're working on healing and transforming and fine-tuning your ability to find a balance between who you're being and what you're doing. And again, these axes of self-mastery, every month when the sun moves into a new sign, a new one gets triggered. Okay. And you'll find this in your participant workbook. Again, the answer is Cancer, right? So the example, right? We have Cancer, again, ruled by the moon. We've been talking about this. Triggers the balance of being and doing, which is composed of the two signs, Moon, Saturn. And they're always 6 months apart, right? Next up, in July, on July 22nd, the sun moves into Leo, which is ruled by the sun. Okay. And that will trigger the leadership axis. Next month, we'll talk about that. Okay. So again, this statement, I find myself caught up in being busy for the sake of being busy and getting lost in meaningless actions that make me feel that what I do is not important. Okay, if that resonates, you know that there's a need to be busy, and you're struggling with creating a balance between who you're being and what you're doing. Moon, Saturn. Okay, here it is. And this is, I have a Nail Your Ideal Client transformational worksheet. That's what this is. Moving from pain, moving to pleasure. If you have a need to be busy, what you need to do, where you really want to be, is on this side of feeling emotional clarity. Okay. And then for next month, the sun moving into Leo, ruled by the sun, I find myself doing things to be different, which leaves me feeling alone and isolated from others. Okay, this is when you're truly a visionary leader, you want to be different, you think you're different, you maybe think you're weird, there's something, is wrong. And so feeling alone and isolated, because again, you have this huge vision, and there's this huge divine message to bring forward that's just transformational, right? But it can feel, until you do that work to discover what that message is, it's like, oh, and there's where the healing work is. Okay, need to be different is the pain point, the pleasure point, and I can even put awakened visionary leadership on that as well. Okay. And ultimately, when you realize needing nothing attracts everything, what I've built in these 7 axes of self-mastery, and we've gone over one in depth, and we've talked a little bit about the leadership axis or the Awaken leadership axis today. All 7 of those are pointing to the parts within us that we can heal these unconscious needs and truly have inner peace, peace of mind, clarity of purpose, and be that awakened visionary leader. And that's when, the fun is just right there for you. So it's really bringing these, again, the puzzle together, the puzzle of you. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and stop recording so that I can take questions. So, and I will put down below a link that if you want to apply for a complimentary Awaken to Your Conscious coaching, light worker, transformational leadership business, if that you're interested in having a session on this, so we can look at the 7 axes to see which one's triggering for you personally now, because this presentation is based on how the universe moves us, but there's also your personal, there's your human design birth chart, there's your astrological birth chart, there's multiple layers to this that you may be triggered in a unique way that this wasn't covered. All right, which is why, if you want to have a complimentary session, we can talk at a deeper level about that. All right, so I want to go ahead and stop the share and hold on just one more second here. And